Welcome back to Bisexual Killjoy, the place where we know bisexuality isn't a phase, it's a phenomenon. I'm Bailey, and this is
Jace.
In today's episode, Because I Love You, we're doing a roundup on season 5 like we do at the end of every season. And boy, oh boy, how these episodes have flown. What a season it's been. What we've done together, what we've learned. And we're recording this before June, so who's to say how tired we are because of Pride season and biphobia, though as of April 30th, it's already out. It's already out and about, baby.
Are we surprised?
No, the fact that you pinged me this morning and were like, hey, really sorry about all of the Threads notifications right now because I'm getting into fights with people on the internet. I was like, you know what? It started early. I expected this. This might be the year I start smoking. Like, we'll just find out.
No, you're the one always yapping about Bi Plus health outcomes.
I know, but I understand why we smoke. I understand why we smoke. But while everything is fresh in our minds from this season, we really just wanted to reflect on love and what it means to live a life rooted in love as Bi Plus people and why that matters.
Because if we've learned anything this season, it's that love is a practice.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure. Was that our goal? Rather, was that your goal when you pitched the season to me? Did you want us to learn about love as a practice, or did you just want to explore bi-plusness through love?
You know, I definitely do not think that learning about love as a practice, as a value, as a virtue was in any way my intention when I very first pitched a season on love. I just love love and I love relationships, and I was so looking forward to, and I do think we got to this, chatting about bi-plusness through the lens of different relationships. And I think that we did that. We did achieve that goal. I also think that we met something even bigger through understanding love with Bell Hooks as our guide.
Yeah. Something we talked about earlier this week with Bell Hooks as our guide is how love leads to utopian states of mind. And I know when we first started this project, you were like, oh, Bi Plus utopia is possible. It's the best way to live. And I was like, I agree, but how do we do it? And something that I imagine we'll discuss more as this episode unfolds is how love does lead to Bi Plus utopia. We'll have to define what utopia means, but I wasn't expecting that. It was such a beautiful goal to emerge from this whole process. And I'm glad that we read it together. And I'm glad that, you know, I haven't annotated a book in so long. Who is she? Is she an English major?
You know, I have loved this season so much, and I think it's because, to me, it's been a season that is a living love letter to our community. You know, Bi Plus people have always done what we do. We show up. We do the work that needs to be done. We care for those in need, even when we know that we won't get any thanks or recognition as Bi Plus group. I'm sure that we can both go on about that so much, but I also think that that is love, showing up regardless. In honor of that legacy, we want to keep love alive and well for the road and the fights ahead.
And there will be fights. There'll be roads and there will be fights. And with that in mind, before we jump into the retrospective, we're just going to pause for a brief word from our sponsors. Hey there, Killjoys. We started a Patreon because we got a podcast, and like every other podcaster our age, gotta have a Patreon to pay our bills. Subscribe now. Get access to extra episodes, Substacks, I think, video content, and more. Okay, love you. Bye.
Are you being for real?
Kinda. We got it all. We have access to our private essays on Substack, as well as audio components with them so you can carry us around and listen to us on the bus. We also have access to our Discord, access to live events, a lot more access to me and Jace to tell us about your problems and why your boyfriend isn't very good and why you should leave him and how you should date people and how you should make your dinner and all these other things. What other things?
Our very exclusive book club where we actually mail you a book every quarter and we sit down to discuss, sponsored by your favorite professor, Jace.
We'll also send you a handwritten letter. How about that? We'll send you some neat stickers and some other stuff that I find on my travels, because I'm a pack rat and I'd love to share my bounty with you.
So if you want first dibs on all the new things that are coming up, join us there.
Thanks for supporting Bisexual Killjoy. And back to the show. And we're back. So, in terms of what this season has taught us, I think that we understand that love isn't just a feeling. In fact, it's an ethic. And ethics can always be this slippery thing to define, especially in this world. But fortunately for us, Hooks tells us exactly what she means by ethical love in Chapter 6, Values, Living by a Love Ethic.
Bell says, to live our lives based on the principles of a love ethic, showing care, respect, knowledge, integrity, and the will to cooperate, we have to be courageous. Learning how to face our fears is one way we embrace love. Our fear may not go away, but it will not stand in the way. Those of us who have already chosen to embrace a love ethic, allowing it to govern and inform how we think and act, know that when we let our light shine, we draw to us and are drawn to other bearers of light because we are not alone.
So good. So beautiful. So many of us feel alone, right? But when you live in that ethical love, like you're not.
No, I will say that I think this is one of my favorite chapters in this whole book, to live life with a love ethic, because I think it really encompasses so much of what she talks before and after this chapter, because it's like in the middle, right?
Yeah.
But I think that it really ties everything into a neat little bow in terms of like love is in a lot of ways the opposite of fear. And also, what that means is that we do not succumb to fear. Perhaps we might be afraid, right? But we still choose to walk with the fear. Courage is just fear walking. She takes that and she takes the elements of hurt and pain and how we work through those for repair and how that is living by a love ethic. It is a process, a journey, a series of actions and behaviors. It is not love is not a single thing or a single moment in time.
And the way she lays it out for us is, according to Hooks, the ethic is made up of 6 components, I think: knowledge, care, commitment, trust, responsibility, and respect. That's 6. And, of course, there's nuance to all of these things, but I think those were the 6 pillars that you and I kind of identified and laid out over the season. And in talking about each of these things, as you live that love ethically, you're living these pillars like knowledge in motion, care in motion, commitment in motion, etc. And something that you said to me when we saw each other on Tuesday in preparation for this episode was talking about how living actively in this way is the thing that brings forth a utopia by embracing this love ethic. I know you have defined utopia for us in season 1, but what do you think a bi plus utopia is?
I like to think about bi plus utopia as a heterotopia, which is, I think, what I defined in season 1. And maybe not strictly in the Foucaultian sense, though it is a Foucaultian term. A heterotopia in terms of embracing difference. A utopia that is made up of difference and not of sameness. Where the core unifying element is love, is compassion, is acceptance. I think that bi plus people are primed for the expression and the bringing about of that utopia because we've had to do that for ourselves. We've had to learn to embrace different aspects of ourselves as we live authentically.
And authenticity and an ethical love aren't quite synonymous, but I do think that they are like relatives. They're cousins to one another, right?
I think because it's about honesty. It's the advice that I give pretty much everyone in my life very, very consistently. Just be honest. We can relate to each other so much more on the basis of our human experience. That's what we're here to share. And the human experience is flawed. It's full with hurts. It's full with insecurities. It's full of misunderstandings. And authenticity is honesty in its purest form, and it's like fully embodied form. And from there, it feels like a hop, skip, and a jump to love and being loving, behaving in ways that are loving.
And how do we embrace those ways that are loving? If we just look at the pillars, like with the knowledge pillar, I think you and I were talking about the harm and silence and isolation, intimate partner violence that we had with Catherine Wella Bogan. I guess, what does knowledge mean when it comes to love?
I think that the knowledge piece is particularly very important to me because knowledge means that you can act from a place of sovereignty. It means that you are well aware of how things are, how things have been, how things could be, what the facts are, and you are choosing a way forward in that. And that is such an important element of love that goes hand to hand with accountability. I think that when we talk about knowledge in the sense of love, especially with the episode that we had with Katie, it is about knowing the difference when things just kind of cross a threshold. Like what happens when I understand that this is not love, this is not a loving practice, this is not a loving relationship, and being able to identify that.
As I was reading this chapter, I was reminded of the fact that, yes, Bailey, you were raised up in the church. And one of your spiritual gifts that people allegedly have is like the gift of discernment, to know what is true, what is not true. And I kept thinking about that as we discussed knowledge, as we talked about this episode, because the knowledge that someone gives you about themselves, right, whether they are a good person, a bad person, whether or not a relationship is healthy or unhealthy, it's hard to do anything with that knowledge if you don't know how to discern that knowledge. You're like, okay, I don't think that this is good behavior, or I don't think that this is healthy. But without developing an ability to trust yourself, to do something with that knowledge, to trust yourself, to discern what is truth and what is falsehood, like you get yourself into a sticky place, which we discussed kind of like at length, how people get themselves into sticky places, how it's hard to extract yourself, especially as bi plus people, where we are more susceptible to being in an IPV situation and we don't have anywhere to go because our social structures aren't as strong as some other social structures are, which is a bummer. But as we talk about it, as we bring like truth to light and discuss what it is that bi plus people actually go through, that knowledge can help us all navigate the community better, to take care of each other more, to be on the lookout for signs of IPV, and just to know when to stand up and help someone like also stand up while they figure out best next steps for them.
Absolutely. And in order to do that, we have to demonstrate care for ourselves and our friends to be able to stand up with and for them.
Yeah. We talked about care in the episode on Single and Ready to Mingle, right?
Yeah.
Our Trojan horse episode, if you will.
I mean, this is one of probably my personal favorites. I love expanding on what it means to love yourself. What does it mean to put your best foot forward and express the love to yourself in ways that feel good? And also not giving second chances to people that make you feel like crap.
Can we say that one more time for everyone? Just say it again.
Do not give second chances to people who make you feel like crap.
Yeah, and that can be friends and partners and sometimes family members. I see this go around on the internet a lot where women sort of bemoan the fact that their alleged best friend will give them up after they have a fight, but will let the crusty, dusty partner that they have a million chances. And why are we holding best friends to different standards than we are holding a crusty, dusty partner to, when it should be the reverse, right?
Right.
But I digress.
But it's important to show care for yourself, for your friends. And I think that starts with self-love, of self-acceptance. It is once you know what it's like to experience a beautiful, perfect love for yourself, from yourself, that then you're able to give that gift forward. You're able to discern when it is that someone else is willing to give that to you too.
And I forgot that I talked a lot in this episode about how all you need to do on how to flirt is to practice. And now it's June 20-something. Have you been practicing? Have you been putting yourself out there during Pride? Have you? Email me. Email me if you haven't. Be honest. If you need to talk to me about what am I doing wrong, I'm happy to talk about it. And I'm so fucking serious right now. I'm going to be winging for people all Pride through May. And then I'm going to hibernate for a while because I'm going to have given too much to everyone and burnt myself out a little bit. So anyway, but
that's the Bailey cycle, not the bi cycle.
It's the Bailey cycle for sure. For sure. I'm going to way fewer prizes this year than last year. Okay. Way fewer, like half. But how this translates to care, why I'm really harping on it, is one, to be funny, but two, when we take care of ourselves, we develop self-confidence. We develop a relationship with who we are and just like, oh, I'm confident in who I am. And I know my worth. I know that if someone rejects me, it's not the end of the world, or if someone accepts me, that I will have all of the wherewithal and autonomy to decide whether or not to like keep this person in my life. And when you feel prepared to like engage with someone, whether you are flirty, fun Gemini like me, or if you're a little bit more like slow and let friendship unfold first, totally fine, totally valid. You'll know like this is who I am. And it's not because I'm too shy or I'm too much. It's like, this is how I like to approach flirting. This is how I like to approach relationships. This is how I like to approach being single. And it'll just make you feel better overall. So slipping that in there for you.
Preach. And we also spoke a lot about commitment and the importance of being committed to caring for ourselves and others.
Mm-hmm. We explored this a lot because this season, and something I've been hearing from listeners, what they've enjoyed is the fact that we're breaking down relationship styles like monogamy and polyamory, and how they are different, but also fundamentally the same because they're like, you're making relationships with other people and you should treat people kindly and you should communicate, you should be honest. Groundbreaking stuff.
Pretty much. And it's a learning process of learning that being committed to a significant other or being committed to your friends also means by default that you're committed to yourself, to knowing yourself, to being introspective, to identifying what it is, the uncomfy feelings that pop up. Where do they come from? How can we manage them moving forward? What are we choosing to do with that? I think that this, or at least I hope, that this whole season has really debunked the idea that bisexuals are inherently flaky and lack commitment, because boy, oh boy, I am committed to so many things and I refuse to let any of them go.
Yeah. And we don't want to because they fit into our lives, because they feed us, because it's all of these other things. I'm the same way. I hate it when people say like bi plus people can't commit. Brother, do you know how many things I run? Do you know how fucking committed I am all the time? What are you committed to? Nothing. You have no honor. You have no clan. You're nobody.
I'm particularly sensitive to that comment when it comes to polyamorous folks, where it's like, you just can't commit to one person. It's like, honey, friend, I am overly committed, if anything. Like, I am committed to myself because I'm going to get triggered in multiple relationships. That's a given. I'm committed to relationship, this one, to the other one, to this other one that I have.
Yeah.
I'm committed to my work, to my activism. There's a lot going on. I am high performing at all of them. So if anything, it's like the exact opposite, bestie.
Yeah. So how about you step off? Well, we are so committed to all of these things because we're committed to our communities, which we talked a lot about in is Bi Plus Community is Revolution. And I think exploring this through the trust lens is really interesting because you and I talked a lot about how showing up into the community is about consistency, but also it's about solitude and developing good relationships with yourself so that you can show up into community with good energy and trusting that the community will take care of you, but also the community knowing that it can trust you as well, right?
Yeah.
We talked a lot in this episode.
We did. And we also spoke a lot about interdependence. It is an element of trusting and putting a small piece of my life, my livelihood, my day-to-day existence in your hands and allowing yourself to be proven right that they're going to take care of it, that it's going to be good. I love community. I like so much, especially because of how much it inspires in me. As we've been talking about the pillars so far, yeah, there is a lot of emphasis in how we relate to one another. But I think that it's so important that we understand and that we repeat endlessly that this is about trusting yourself, commitment to yourself, loving yourself, because that is the true foundation to build everything else.
And I will say, Bi Plus specifically, if I'm looking at all these pillars, I think this is the one that Bi Plus people probably will struggle the most with because we have been told time and time again that the world doesn't trust us. The world doesn't trust us to know ourselves, doesn't trust us to be committed, doesn't trust us to do what we say we're going to do, doesn't trust us to know our own identity to the point of saying, well, that's fake or it's just a phase. And to that, I would say what I said in our last episode is like, if you're really struggling to find a spot in queer or straight community, you need to cultivate Bi Plus community, which unfortunately might mean that you are the instigator for it. And it will take time to build it. And if you have a Bi Plus community, show up consistently. Say, what can I do? It looks like you need help with this. I have that skill. Offer it to the organizer. I mean, like, that's where relationships are built. That trust is built between people and it expands out. And then all of a sudden you're in charge of an organization that's been around for 40 years and everyone says, what's Bailey going to do about this? Anyway, so yeah, I feel like you might be feeling some type of way as we talk about trust. Like, well, what do I do when nobody trusts me? That's not your fault. That's like a social problem. You should find people who are like you, and statistically likely, we're here, we're queer, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah. And I want to reassure folks that bonding over a project is super valuable. I know that there was a time when I felt really ashamed that I needed like a project to stay in touch with friends or hang out with someone that I found really interesting. But projects are really grounding. And very often, sometimes you need the excuse. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's no reason to shy away from that because it's totally okay.
Yeah. Think about how you made friends as a kid, right? You talked about this. You would go to the park together, you would be in school together, you'd be together for hours and hours and hours of it at a time. And as you get older, there's less time to go around. And so having something to coalesce around, having a project that has stakes on both sides, more than like a book club, Jace, you have to show up to this project or the project doesn't happen and vice versa. And so that's how, we keep each other accountable to the work and we continue to work on our friendship through this project. Like, that's normal. That's totally normal in an adult.
And it's healing. It's healing because you're proving to yourself and to others that you are dependable.
Yeah.
And that you are resourceful, that you can make things work. And that is such a beautiful experience to be at the end of Pride season and be like, wow, we did that. Isn't that so cool?
I think about the Squidward meme when he's just sleep deprived and has like snot coming out of his nose and he just like puts his little thumb up. That's me. To someone to meme my face is that. I'm begging you. So there's that. But you mentioned like responsibility, right? And we explored responsibility a lot in Plurisexuals and the Myth of Platonic Purity. My favorite title from this season, I'm going to be really honest, where we talked about friendship.
We came up with such great titles this season.
We did. We really did.
I loved this episode. I love talking about friendship. I think that friendship is so important. It's very, very quite possibly one of the first times that we actually learn what it feels like to be securely attached to anyone. It sits so near and dear to my heart, how important friends are, even if showing up for a friend can sometimes be inconvenient. It's not inconvenient because it's for you and I love you. And that's it. That's the end of it. I'll make it work.
Because I think Hooks talks about how inconvenient love is. Love is inconvenient, but that doesn't make love bad. That makes it worth something to strive towards. It's like something that constantly needs work, constantly needs tending, both externally and internally. That is the work of life, is to just constantly tend to this idea.
Another reason that friendship sits so near and dear is because it means that we are responsible for each other. We are responsible for each other's growth, for each other's feelings, for each other's well-being. That is such an important element. It means that I have to hold myself responsible and accountable for whenever I unintentionally hurt someone's feelings, especially if they're my friend, and vice versa.
And as we explored through that topic, bi+ people can have platonic friendships. There's this idea that we talked about. People think that we're just out to anything that moves. We'll just leave it there. But bi+ people, our talent is love. Our talent is this capacity for intimacy and potential and treating our platonic loves as intimately and as deeply as we would our romantic loves. Fuck, that's so beautiful. God, that is moving.
Especially in a time where we need more love in the world.
Ugh.
But also, you say that bi+ people's talent is love, and all I'm thinking about is Tinkerbell with the talent and the fairies. Can we have a fairy? Her talent is love, and that's it. Just lots of love, spreading love everywhere. That's me. I'm gonna go dressed this Halloween as like a bi fairy. My talent is love.
Oh, that's really beautiful.
Wait, no. Do I have to commit to that now?
Yeah, no, you said it. You said it on air.
But we can't have love without respect.
We sure can't. And we talked about that in the bi+ marriage in the messy middle episode, which as of time of recording, I think has been the most popular episode this season, which isn't surprising given how many bi+ people are married.
I think the key takeaway from this episode, the important element is holding each other close, being honest, while at the same time recognizing each individual's own sovereignty, their whole personality, who they are as a whole human being. Being able to see them, see your partner for who they are and make those choices if that changes anything moving forward together, that is such a beautiful demonstration of commitment, respect, responsibility. It's love.
Yeah. So how do we practice what we preach, if you would? I mean, like, what's the gap here? Like, why, if all of these things are true, then what's the gap between value and belief and practice?
So we've talked about this in a different format in past seasons, the gap between theory and practice. There are a lot of things that we believe, that we know, and we might do the exact contrary thing while we're out and about. That is a totally normal dissonance. Plenty of people experience that. And the challenge in living life by a love ethic is saying, okay, I know that these are the pillars that I am choosing to present in my life. How can I act accordingly?
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to challenge you in a lot of things because it's going to challenge the underlying ideologies that perhaps you've internalized. So things like care and how to demonstrate care out in the world might clash when someone who is different from the person that you expected to care for shows up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, how can I act in a way that is loving in this particular moment, even if it goes against my current understandings of the world? Living life by a love ethic and bridging the gap means putting the value before the ideology.
Ultimately, it sounds like the thing getting in our way of these things is fear, which Hooks talks about. So I think halfway through that chapter, fear of radical changes leads many citizens of our nation, United States, to betray their minds and hearts. Yet we are all subjected to radical changes every day. We face them by moving through fear. These changes are usually imposed by the status quo. For example, revolutionary technologies have led us all to accept computers. Our willingness to embrace this unknown shows that we are all capable of confronting fears of radical change, that we can cope. Obviously, it is not in the interest of the conservative status quo to encourage us to confront our collective fear of love. An overall cultural embrace of a love ethic would mean that we would all oppose much of the public policy conservatives condone and support. She goes on to talk about society's collective fear of love must be faced if we are to lay claim to a love ethic that can inspire us and give us the courage to make necessary changes. I know that talking about this, God knows what has happened over the summer. Again, I'm not ready for it. But what has happened in June, by the time we get to June, when you're listening to this, I have no idea what's going on. But the fear of radical change is kind of the thing that's holding us back, generally speaking, towards this ethical love, this bi-plus utopia, this country free of fascism, etc.
And it reminds me of a conversation I had with a friend a little while back. We were bonding over the struggle of not being accepted by parents as queer folks. She has a daughter now. Her daughter is queer. My friend was talking with her mom, daughter's grandma. The grandma was like, "But are you okay with this? Like, do you know that she's queer? Are you okay with all of this?" And my friend was like, I mean, what's the alternative? What's the alternative? And I would say that moment, as she was telling me that story, really encompassed the entirety of what it means to live life by a love ethic, to parent in a way that is primarily and focused on love, because having a queer kid, it can be destabilizing. I won't tell you otherwise, namely because I'm not a parent. But having her say, well, what is the alternative? It might shake me. It might take me a minute to catch up. I might need to learn new things. But this is my kid, and I love them no matter what. And that means no matter what, even if it challenges my preconceptions of what I thought LGBTQ people were, of what I thought gender was, of what I thought sexuality was, I will choose love. That's exactly what I mean by putting love before ideology, because the actions that take place in that gap is what allow us to live life by a love ethic.
You'll live, you live by a love ethic, you challenge your fear, you'll move through it, and you'll live. It'll be okay. And if more people kind of had that approach to love, we're talking about it in a metaphorical and emotional capacity. Obviously, there's, real world connotations that go with a lot of this stuff, and we don't want to detract from that. But as we're having this kind of like philosophical discussion about love, I think it's just important to say, like, move through fear, come out the other side of it a better, more actualized person, period. We can't do anything about external factors at this point in time. Though if more people did approach the love ethic, things could change.
I don't think that either of us would ever tell you to pack the fear up and leave it aside.
You can't, right?
You can't. I want to encourage you to, take it with you. Take fear with you along for the ride. Courage is fear walking. So do it afraid, do it scared, do it tired, do it exhausted, do it angry, but do it.
I mean, those feelings will come with you whether you want them to or not. So the experience is better if you're like taking them out of the bag and letting them walk with you. There'll be less burden on your back, less burden on your heart. And you're like, all right, you guys, I see you. Let's go. Let's keep walking. And before we continue with the conversation, let's have a brief word from our sponsors.
Bisexual Killjoy is growing, friends.
What started as just a podcast has now blossomed into a whole community project.
We're not only dropping episodes, we got culture commentary and hyper-personal essays just for you on our Substack. Get all your burning questions answered through our advice column, Give It To Me by Plus, and you can hang out with other Killjoys in our brand new Discord server.
The best part?
It's free to join.
But if you love the work we do and want to make sure we don't burn the fuck out, you can become a paid subscriber and you'll get sweet perks like bonus episodes, bonus posts, and exclusive discussion groups with your favorite Killjoys.
We'd love to have you in the mix.
Come join the community.
See you there.
And we're back. So, what does this have to do with being bi plus?
Well, it's her talent. You said so.
I did. I did. But why is love ethic essential for the movement? Why is it essential for bi plus people everywhere?
I would say because a love ethic prioritizes integration. It prioritizes care. It prioritizes connectedness above separation. And that is so crucial for our overall LGBTQ movement. And it always has been. That's why the B's and the T's have always stood together in solidarity. That's why we exist in the periphery and we're welcoming to everybody who wants to spend some time with us as they discover who they are. Living life by a love ethic in the movement is so important and so necessary right now, where division is running rampant, where everybody is constantly policing who can be what and when and why and how and which way is the right way to be queer. And no. That is not loving. That's fear.
So if you're a person who thinks that bi plus people shouldn't be at pride events, that you don't think that their queerness performs the way you want it to, please know that you are not living in a love ethic and you are in fact part of the problem. You are holding the movement back. And you can fight with me personally, not Jace, if you want to. But my DMs are open and I will come to you. All right? Waffle House rules.
Okay.
Division in our community has no place.
Period.
Division has no place in our community. When we are at odds with one another, the movement can't move forward. It is the goal of patriarchy to keep us separated. And I guess this is a call for unity, or at the very least, understanding of one another. Because without that understanding, nothing good will happen for us.
Agreed. Living life by a love ethic also means respecting each group's specificities. It means acknowledging that bi plus people face very specific frustrations, oppressions that must be addressed in their particularity. That means developing competence in larger settings, in organizations. It means hosting bi-specific events and support groups. It means encouraging the world to see us as our own group.
Because to fly us all under this homogenous banner of queerness is good in some way, but also it flattens everyone's individual experience and does nothing to address the harm going on in bi plus specific, gay specific, lesbian specific, trans specific, non-binary specific. We all have our own problems, and treating us all like we're the same is actually not equality, right? Like it's not equity. I, as someone who wants to live in a love ethic, I want to understand the individual experiences of everyone so that I can love them better, so I can connect with them better. That, I think, is what a bi plus utopia actually is, right?
Yeah. I mean, I will remind all of our listeners that in order for a social movement to be successful, it must, A, be a group, be a coalition of a bunch of different groups within it. And every single thing that group fights for has to be very specific to each individual subgroup. All of those specificities have to be honored and they have to be on equal footing, not hierarchical. That is how a movement succeeds. I would cite my sources, but the sources that I'm from Latin America. That's all I got.
Pick up a book about the history of any Latin American country and you will learn.
Pretty much. On the topic of bisexual utopias, I've been leaning into solar punk lately. I don't know what the aesthetic itself is, But the idea is that in a futuristic society where instead of everybody being doomed, we have made renewable energy sources an actual thing. We are self-reliant and we depend on each other. It is, I don't want to say communist, but vibes. We focus on community and sustainability. And I think that part of that has to do with BiPlus experiences in terms of our collective love for one another and always putting in the work wherever there's need.
And being courageous enough to put in that work and to be honest enough to say, this is what I'm noticing. This is what I need. This is what I think you need. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. Like asking these questions that make you feel vulnerable, that will allow you to get at deeper truths of not just the world around you, but yourself as well.
Honesty and authenticity and introspection. The more we practice these things, the easier it gets. Courage just becomes a habit.
It's a skill, right? This is something that you can develop, much like flirting. Just putting that out there.
Much like flirting, much like teaching, there are a lot of skills out there in the world that you can grow that a lot of folks pretend are talents.
Yeah, they aren't.
No, you can learn. You can learn how to love, and you can learn how to do a whole bunch of stuff.
Yep. It's the beauty of the human experience is how much you can learn.
Yeah, and that's important to start small. Small acts of love add up actually rather quickly.
Yeah.
Doing small things for you that demonstrate how much you care for yourself, or doing small things for your friends that demonstrate how much you care for them is so important. I mean, I will share this. I was in class. I had this class with my cohort. We were talking about lost media. And I was talking about the Barbie movies and how dangerous they are to being lost media. The OG Barbie movies. I'm a big fan. Thank you. I was talking about how I had the whole collection of Barbie movies except Barbie and the Magic of the Pegasus. And that still haunts me. Like, I have my childhood DVD rack, and it still haunts me that it's missing that one Barbie movie.
Okay. I'll keep an eye out for it.
And a couple of weeks later, one of my classmates was like, hey, I was at the thrift store and I saw this, so I got it for you. And when I tell you, it warmed my heart. And that's the last interaction that we had. I don't even have her phone number anymore because I'm not a PU. It lives rent-free in my head. These small acts of love breathe life into the world. And they're so important to cultivate so that we have more love to reference in our memories, so that we have more love to share and give forward, and so that we can inspire ourselves and others to grow into it.
I like how my first impulse was like, yeah, add it to my list. I'll go find it for you at a thrift store. That's my love language. Forget about like acts of anything. It's like, what do you need? I'll find it for you at a thrift store. I'm glad that's really beautiful. I'm happy that happened to you.
I loved it so much. I sent it home.
Oh, you did?
I couldn't bring it with me to Spain, but I sent it to my sister so that she could finish the rack.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I mean, here we are at the end of season 5. Insane, first of all. And yet we still have homework for you before we come back in September. So, my loves, our allies, I don't know who's listening to the show who is an ally. I hope you are. But it would be great if you could challenge biphobia in the wild and encourage people to explore love ethic instead of being a dick.
To our BiPlus listeners, this whole season has been for you. We'd love to hear how it's impacted your perspective. What's the kind of outlook that you now have on life? What is something that stayed with you? It's been such a beautiful, beautiful journey, and just know that we love you.
Yeah. And for the LGBTQ plus organizations and organizers listening to this, just like last season, because you won't listen, stop treating bi plus people like a side note, run us our money, and stop being bi exclusionary. That's it.
Period.
So, full disclosure, while we are currently planning to return to you all in September and intend on putting out some pretty sick bonus content throughout the summer, we are currently on deadline for our new book. If you follow us on Substack, you probably already know that we are going to be taking some time away from the more regularly scheduled content that we put out. But we'll be back. Don't worry. We love y'all. We appreciate your support. We're just really in the trenches right now.
And before we sign off for the break, we want to thank you all so much for your feedback and your kind words you've sent our way this season. This project exists because of you, but also because of our incredible volunteers who help us with our transcriptions, research, and social media. Lucas, Crystal, Darren, Reed, and Marilyn. You're helping us make this project even more impactful. You're freaking awesome.
But of course, the podcast would not literally be possible without our sensational audio engineer, my killer partner, Richie Smith. While these episodes are a blast to record, they are a labor to edit, especially through all the literal cannon fire and jackhammering that happened to us over the last couple of months. You make us sound like the professional bisexuals that we are.
And if any of you want to buy Richie a coffee and he drinks a lot of coffee, consider slipping him a tip on our Ko-Fi. He would really love it.
Thank you for tuning into Bisexual Killjoy, where we know that bisexuality isn't a phase, it's a phenomenon. To support us, share us with your friends, your frenemies, the person that you met at Pride who probably needs a little bit more education. Subscribe to our Substack, join us on Patreon, and rate our podcast preferably 5 stars. I'm still waiting to crack 100 reviews on Spotify and Apple Music, so please help us do that. We want to hear from you. You can share your stories with us on Instagram or via email at hello@bisexualkilljoy.com. We'd love to answer your questions on our advice column, Give It To Me by Plus, or you can support our work via Patreon and get access to our Discord server where we chat a lot in between seasons. We've got so much coming down the pike, and we can't wait to share it with you all. And until we meet again, keep being a bisexual killjoy.
Stay bisexual and stay strong.